Welcome to the Unapologetic Mompreneur, the podcast for mums with an online business who are ready to take back their time, home, business and self so they can restore the balance and thrive, both at home and at work, without feeling like they have to choose between the two. I'm your host, Sarah Dew, life and biz coach for mumpreneurs. I'm also a mum, stepmom, wife, introvert, breast cancer survivor, and your mentor for making a change for the better. I've learned how to go from surviving to thriving and unapologetically create a business I love and the life I want for me and my family without worrying about what other people think. And now I'm here to help you do the same. Because being an unapologetic mompreneur doesn't mean that we're selfish or that we don't care about others. It simply means that we are not afraid to show up as our true, authentic selves, to step into our purpose, do what we know is right for ourselves and the ones we love, and take the steps we need to take to make our dream life and business a reality. Join me each week where I'll be sharing all of my best tips and strategies, plus the occasional dose of tough but gentle love to help you feel empowered, motivated, and confident to take action so that you can become the mum, wife, biz owner, and woman you know you are meant and deserve to be. So, are you ready to unapologetically create a business and life you love? Let's do this. Hey there, and welcome to episode 46 of the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast. In today's episode, I wanted to chat with you about a topic that can really hold us back in our businesses and something that can actually be harming our businesses if we let it. And that is perfectionism. And so if you have a tendency to want things to be perfect, this episode is for you, because I'm going to be sharing 5 shocking reasons how being perfectionist and perfectionism can actually harm your business. Things that you may not have even realized are going to have an impact in the way that they're holding back and the way that that perfectionist streak can actually damage our businesses. Knowing what these things are and just how much that perfectionist streak can actually affect us and our business will really help you to push past that need of having to have things perfect so that you can put your stuff out there. To know that the things that you are creating are already amazing, that they're already great, and that it is time to share them with the world. You see, as a recovering perfectionist, I know all too well that striving perfection, both in our businesses and in our personal lives, is not the best approach to creating the life that we want to live. In fact, rather than perfectionism being a badge of honor, I have learned that trying to be perfect actually holds us back, and that it can actually damage our businesses if we are focusing on perfectionism for too long. I used to spend way too much time trying to make things perfect in every area of my life, but especially in my business. So much so that sometimes if I couldn't do something perfectly, and I'm using air quotes here, perfectly, I either wouldn't put it out there because it wasn't good enough, or I wouldn't even start the thing at all. And that is crazy, especially in my business, because if I wasn't going to do something and I couldn't do it perfectly, and I didn't put it out there, then how on earth was my business supposed to grow? And how on earth was I supposed to see the income coming in that I wanted to have? I cannot tell you that the number of blog posts, the number of YouTube videos, the number of Instagram posts, even the number of digital products, and even challenges and workbooks. Oh my gosh, everything's coming to my mind right now of all of the things that I had created in the early days of my business that I didn't put out there, that I didn't hit publish on, that I didn't share because I thought that it wasn't perfect or that it wasn't good enough. There were so many things that I didn't do or take action on or put out to the world to share, even though I knew that they would help somebody, because I thought that they weren't perfect, that they weren't good enough. And over the years, I have realized that all of that perfectionism was not only harming me, but it was actually being detrimental to the success of my business too. If I had got over myself, if I had allowed myself to put work out there that was a B- instead of an A+, if I had allowed myself to just hit publish on that thing, I would have been a lot further forward in my business far faster than the time it has taken me now. And it has taken me a very, very long time to get over that perfectionism. And sometimes that perfectionist streak still raises its ugly head. But over the years, I have learned ways to recognize when it is popping its head up, when it is in play, so that I can then give it the little hug and attention that it needs and push past it and keep going. I have learned how to just play things a little bit less safe, of how to just get it out there and have a go and just put it out there and not worry about whether something is perfect. I can't tell you how many hours I used to spend proofreading my emails, proofreading my blog posts. And if I accidentally sent an email out with a typo in it, I would freak out over that for hours. And that is crazy. I used to spend so long proofreading my blog posts, trying to make sure all of the grammar was perfect, that everything was spelled correctly, that there weren't any words missing. It was crazy. It held me back so much. And I've learned over the years that instead of perfectionism being a badge of honor, it was actually harming me and my business. It's so easy to think that perfectionist streak is great because we're making sure that things are good, that things are on form, that it's the best that it can be. And that is good. But there is a point where it becomes too much and it can start harming us and harming our businesses. And that's what I wanted to chat with you today in this episode. I'm going to share with you 5 different ways, sneaky ways, that your perfectionist streak may well be harming you and holding you back in your business and seeing the success that you want without you even realizing. Now, I'm not going to leave you hanging because I've also got an episode coming up in a couple of weeks' time where I'm actually going to share with you some tips and strategies that you can use to help you squash that perfectionist streak, to help you push past that, to help you recognize when it's raising its head, and to help you recognize and find a few ways and things that you can do to help you take action and take away that fear of things not being perfect so that you can put those amazing gifts, that knowledge that you have, out in the world and help people like you feel you are called to do. Know that you are not alone in this perfection thing. I have struggled, like I said, for years. I know exactly what it is like. I know that fear of hitting publish on something or not even getting to that stage and ditching it because you're creating something and you just think it looks rubbish and that it's not brilliant or it's not as good as whoever is doing something similar to you, that it's not right or that you've got a typo. I know what that is like. I know what it feels like. And I know how debilitating it can be and that fear of putting something out there, if it's not perfect, that it's not good enough, or if I can't make it perfect, why should I even do it at all? I want you to know that you are not alone. And it is good that you have got that because it means that you care. It means that you care, that you want to do things right, that you want to do a good job. But there is that fine line and that balance before that perfectionism streak takes over and then it starts being detrimental and starts harming you and your business. And so if perfectionism is something that you struggle with, you are going to want to listen to both this episode and the one in a couple of weeks' time. This episode is going to share with you the different ways that it is harming you and your business without you even realizing. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to share the strategies that you can use to help you push past and overcome that perfectionist streak. So that when it does raise its head again next time, you'll give yourself the permission to keep going and put your gifts out and share them with the world. But I hope that this episode this week, although I'm not going to be giving you quite the answers just yet of how to tackle these things, just knowing how the being perfectionist is harming your business may just be enough to help you get started, to give yourself permission to do things a little bit less perfect and to just hit publish, to just put that thing out there, to just do whatever it is that you are working on without the need of worrying for it to be perfect. And listening to this, know that I have got your back. You are not alone here. It is a perfectly normal thing. So many of us struggle with perfectionism, and I've got you covered. We're going to get through this, and I'm going to give you the things that you need that will help you push past so that you can do what you know you deserve to do, so that you can see the success that you know you deserve. So let's dive in. Let's have a look at the different ways that perfectionism is harming you and your business. First up is that you will never truly be satisfied, both personally and feeling satisfied with your business. Because if you're a perfectionist, you are likely to never be truly satisfied with anything that you do. That is because, by definition, perfectionism is the pursuit of an unattainable goal. Simply put, perfection doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfect. It is just completely unattainable because no matter what we do with something, how we do something, we will always, always find something in it that we could have done or wish that we had done better. Perfection doesn't exist. So therefore, no matter how hard you try or even how much success you have achieved, you will always find something that you could have done better, and that will lead to you feeling that perpetual feeling of dissatisfaction, that you are never good enough, that whatever you create is not good enough because it wasn't perfect. And that just negatively impacts on your overall happiness and sense of well-being. Whatever you are working on in your business, whatever you put out there, every time you're doing it and you're feeling like it's not perfect, you're just beating yourself up. Chasing that perfection is an unattainable goal, and it means that you are never, ever going to feel accomplished. You are never going to be satisfied, and you're never going to feel successful. But the more you do things, the more you put them out there, and the more you give yourself permission to just test and try, the more you give yourself permission to just fail, even just a little bit, that is how you're going to learn, and that is how you're going to grow, and that is how you're going to do things better. But no, by chasing perfectionism, you're never going to be truly satisfied. And is that what you really, really want? Do you want to feel dissatisfaction? Do you want to feel like you are chasing a completely unattainable goal? Or do you want to feel satisfied? Do you want to feel successful? Do you want to feel accomplished? Ask yourself that next time that perfectionist streak raises its head. Second, you're more likely to experience anxiety and depression. Because perfectionists are truly never satisfied with their accomplishments, they are more likely to experience anxiety and depression. In fact, research has found that perfectionism is a risk factor for both conditions. And I can definitely speak from experience there. When that perfectionism streak raises its head, I get anxious. It bums me out when I'm not doing the things to the perfect standard that I think I should be doing. Not only that, it also bums me out that I'm not putting my work out there and that I'm not doing the things that I want to do because I think they're not going to be perfect. So I can totally, totally relate to these things. I know how it feels, and I have definitely been there. And because of that, perfectionism negatively affects our happiness generally as well. Because whenever we do achieve a goal, instead of feeling happy and proud, we just feel relief that it's over. And then we spend our time thinking, thank goodness that's done. That's out of the way. That's done now. And then we start analyzing it and we start thinking about all of the things that we could have done better instead of enjoying the moment. Instead of celebrating that win, instead of celebrating that we've done something, we're beating ourselves up that it wasn't good enough. Or we're just thinking, thank goodness that's over. Thank goodness that's done and dusted with. I can forget about that now. Instead of celebrating that win of like, look at the amazing thing that we've just done. We've just accomplished something that we've never done before. We've just put something out there that is now really, really helping somebody. Instead of celebrating that, we're worrying that the font wasn't quite right, or we could have chosen better pictures, or I could have written that sentence better. Whatever we're judging ourselves on, instead of celebrating the fact that we've put this fantastic PDF guide out there, or this fantastic worksheet or checklist out there, or a really great Instagram post that has got some fantastic tips that is just going to give somebody the encouragement and support they need to hear right now. Instead of that, we're focusing on that typo. We are focusing on that sentence that we could have written better. All of those things, they are far more likely to make us experience anxiety and depression and generally affect our happiness instead of allowing us to actually be really satisfied with what we are working on. The third sneaky way that perfectionism is harming you and your business is it means that you're likely to miss out on important and fun opportunities. Perfectionists often miss out on meaningful opportunities because they are afraid of making mistakes. This is so, so true for me. I cannot tell you how many collaboration opportunities I turned down or I missed out on in the early days of my business, and even up until a couple of years ago, because I worried that my work wasn't good enough, that I wasn't good enough. if I was going to put something into a bundle, or I was going to speak at a summit, or I was going to do a presentation, or I was going to host a workshop for somebody. And all of those opportunities came my way in the early days of my business, but I turned every single one down because I was too scared to say yes, because I felt like that they wouldn't be perfect. It wasn't just about the confidence of showing up and being visible, or imposter syndrome of who was I to share that. Yes, I've been through all of those things too, and I have got some episodes coming up soon about how to push past those things and address and manage those things too. But some of the reasons I said no to all of those opportunities wasn't just because of imposter syndrome and fear of visibility. It was actually down to the perfectionist streak in me as well. I was worried that my slides for the presentation wouldn't be perfect, that I would stumble over my words, that what I said, I could have said better if I could have written a script, but then I wouldn't know what to write in the script. That the product that I was pitching to put in the bundle wouldn't be as good as the next person's, or that somebody would have something in the bundle that was similar, but actually it would be so much better. And then that person going up for signing for the bundle would choose to sign up for the other person's product over mine because mine wasn't good enough. That perfectionist streak can really lead to you missing out on important opportunities. If you feel like you have turned down opportunities in the past, or you have been too afraid to actually go for something or pitch for something and reach out to somebody for a collaboration because you felt like things aren't going to be good enough, I know exactly how you feel, but it is holding you back in your business. So what if those slides aren't perfect? So what if you've got a typo? So what if somebody else in the bundle is doing something similar and you feel like it's better than yours? That doesn't matter. Nobody's going to take any notice. And really, if they pick out that typo on that slide that you're sharing, then they're paying more attention to that than what you're sharing. And they are the one that is losing out. Not only does avoiding opportunities because you are afraid of not being perfect cause you to miss out on some great experiences, some great collaboration opportunities, it also leads you to miss out on meeting new people, to making new business besties, and it just totally stifles the growth of your business too. Me saying no to those opportunities meant that my business was on a slow burn for 3 or 4 years. It was bonkers. And yes, I had a lot of work to do, and I recognize now that I had to go through that process and I had to do some personal growth work on myself to overcome that perfectionist streak and to dig into all the reasons why it was happening and to learn to give myself permission to put work out there that what I felt was less than perfect, just so that it was done. I also missed out on all of those different collaborations because of that. It really stifled the growth of my business. And I could have made so many more biz besties so lot faster. Being brave now and allowing myself to do things and to push past that perfectionist streak, I have made so much progress in my business over the last 18 months, 2 years, because I have learned to give myself permission to not worry about things being perfect all the time, to go out and say yes to those things. You will miss out on important opportunities if you are worrying too much about everything being perfect and everything not having a mistake in it. It's okay for those typos. It's okay to stumble over your words. It's okay to forget what you're saying. It's okay to have something in there in a bundle that is similar to somebody else's. It's okay for all of those things. Having that perfectionist streak will result on you missing out on important opportunities. Give yourself that permission to do work and put stuff out there, knowing that it's okay if it's got mistakes in it, so that you don't miss out on all of those amazing, important opportunities, those collaboration opportunities, the incredible people that you're going to meet along the way, and the speed that your business is going to grow when you allow yourself to just not make things so perfect all the time, or to strive for that perfection, to give yourself permission to put that B- work out and just get it out there. Number 4, and this was one of the hardest ones for me, is that it sets yourself up for failure. It took me a long time to realize it, but my perfectionist streak was constantly setting me up for failure before I even started because my standards were simply too high. I would start project after project with the intention of doing it perfectly, but then I would get overwhelmed and then I would give up when I realized that it wasn't possible. I'd then move from one project to the next, feeling like a constant failure and like I would never achieve anything. And that was because my standards were too high. Goes back to number one, the perfection doesn't exist. It is an unattainable goal. There is no such thing as perfect. And because I was striving perfection every single time, I was setting myself up for failure before I even started. I was beating myself up before I had even done anything. I was putting myself under so much pressure that I would then sit in Canva or I would sit in WordPress trying to write my blog post. And there was that pressure of everything having to be perfect, that the writer's block would kick in, my creative spark would go. It was harming my business. It was really setting me up for failure before I even started because my standards were too high. And lowering those standards, that doesn't mean that you're giving in or that you're settling for less. It just means that you are being realistic about what you can accomplish, that you are knowing that done is better than perfect, and that good really is good enough. When you're looking at a project next time and you are thinking that it has to be perfect or you're finding it hard to get started, just take a look at what those expectations are that you're setting yourself. Are your standards too high? It's good to have high standards, but is the high standard you're setting yourself completely unobtainable? Because if it is, you're just going to move on from project to project to the next, feeling like you are a failure. Take it from someone who has been through that, from someone who has learned the hard way of constantly like going back to what was it, number two, about more likely to experience anxiety, depression, and be miserable. Because I was constantly setting those standards too high, I was in that perpetual cycle of beating myself up, of feeling anxious, of feeling like a failure, of feeling what I was working on was unattainable. I was so hard on myself. I was so hard on myself about the standards I was setting, and those standards just were not achievable. They were completely unrealistic. It wasn't even that I was striving for something that was great. They were totally unrealistic, and I would beat myself up that I wasn't accomplishing them. I have been through that, and I can tell you it's not pretty. Try to not let that perfectionist streak get to the point where you are setting standards that are so high that you are constantly setting yourself up for failure before you even start. Check in with those, check in on what you're looking for, what you are working to achieve, and then tell yourself that done is better than perfect and that there is no such thing as perfection. One of my favorite ones that I use all the time is strive for progress over perfection. The more you do things, the more you put yourself out there, the more you give yourself permission to just do the work. Even if you feel like it's not perfect, you are going to grow. You are going to get your clients. You're going to make those sales because you're putting things out there. Not doing things and putting things out there because they're not perfect is not going to get you anywhere. It is just going to set you up for failure. And then the last but the most important, the most detrimental way that perfectionism is harming you in your business is that you are missing out on the joy of the journey. One of the biggest problems with striving perfection is that it takes the joy out of the journey. When you are constantly focused on the end goal, you are more likely to miss out on all of the fun and the interesting experiences along the way. Some of the ones that I've come across, for instance, speaking at a speaking event, you might miss out on all of the great connections that you could make because you are too busy trying to make your speech perfect. Or if you're creating a course or designing your signature program, you don't stop to celebrate how much you know, how much knowledge you have, because you're worrying about whether it is good enough, whether it looks good enough, whether the format of it, whether the container of it is good enough, instead of actually celebrating how much knowledge you have and how much value you have to share and the difference that it is going to make in somebody's life when they purchase that program of yours or that course of yours or listen to that masterclass of yours. You are not celebrating that because you're worrying too much about whether the container it is being delivered in is good enough. Instead of enjoying the process, instead of enjoying that creative spark of doing all of the things that you love, the things that you are working on, and the reasons that you have your business, everything is going to feel like a chore. and you are going to miss out on all of the fun and all of the interesting experiences. And one of the reasons that we set our businesses up is because we are passionate about something, because we want to share our gifts with the world, because we have something inside of us or something that we are passionate about that we know can help other people. And if you are worrying about things being perfect and the way you are delivering things to be perfect all the time, you're going to miss out on the joy. It's going to stop your business from feeling like fun. It's going to make your business feel like a chore. And I have definitely been there more times than I can tell you. There have been so many occasions over the years where I've been so focused on what it is that I'm creating, the container that it is in, the way I am conveying the whatever it is that I am sharing, that the fun of actually creating it has gone out of it. It's just felt like a chore, and it's made it feel like hard work, and I totally lost the enjoyment for it. And that was all because I was trying to do things perfectly. But when I allowed myself to just strive for progress over perfection and that done was better than perfect, I started enjoying everything that I was working on again. It became fun, and I enjoyed all the little moments that I was working on them. A little celebration every time I'd completed a section of a masterclass, a slide deck, or a celebration once I'd finished and created the new checklist for the new lead magnet that I was creating. Whatever it was, enjoying that progress and hanging out with people and being at summits and not worrying too much about my session and just showing up as me and just making connections. I enjoyed all of that so much more by striving for done is better than perfect and progress over perfection. When I learned that perfectionism, instead of being a badge of honor, was actually holding me back and actually harming me and my business, when I realized those things, I knew I had to do something about it. And when I started digging into the ways that it was harming me, the ways that it was damaging me and my business, I was really, really shocked. And I knew that it was time for me to do something. I didn't want to not be satisfied over the things that I was doing. I didn't want to keep feeling anxious and upset and depressed and miserable every time I was working on something that was supposed to bring me passion and joy. I was done with missing out on all of the opportunities of all of the things that I knew would grow my business and the collaboration opportunities that came my way and all of the things that I was saying no to and missing out on that I knew I wanted to do but wasn't allowing myself to do because I thought I wouldn't be perfect or good enough. And the fact that I was constantly setting myself up for a failure, moving from one project to the next, feeling like a constant failure because my standards were not only too high, but they were too unrealistic, and just constantly putting myself in a position where I was trying to strive and work for something that I was never ever going to achieve. And because of that, I missed out on the joy of the journey. I missed out on enjoying the little moments that made up all the fun parts of the reason why I had my business in the first place. And so if you feel like that perfectionism streak is in within you too, I don't want this episode to bum you out and leave you feeling like, great, what's next? That's me. I want you to know that I have got you. I want you to know that you are not alone in this. This perfectionism thing can be really, really debilitating. It can totally crush us. It can take all of the joy out of us. It can stop us from wanting to show up. It can stop us from wanting to be visible. And it can make us feel like everything is crappy, that everything we do is not good enough, and we might as well just give up and throw in the towel. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to know that you are not alone, that perfectionism is totally normal. It is super, super, super common. I see this all the time with all of my clients. And you know by now, by listening to this episode, that it is something that I struggle with hugely. I am definitely a recovering perfectionist, and I am nowhere anywhere near by far recovered, and I don't think I ever will be. There is always going to be that perfectionist streak in me. But I know now by embracing that perfectionism and allowing it into my life and into my business, how it is going to harm me and my business, how it is going to hold me back and stop me. And I have come up with, and I have figured out along the way, a few different things, a few strategies, a few tools that I have in my armory and in my toolkit now that help me to learn to recognize when that perfectionism streak is raising its ugly head, what is going on in the project that I'm working on as to why that perfectionist streak is raising its head, and what I can do to help me push past and keep things going. And I'm going to share with you in a couple of weeks' time what those things are that you can use to help you do exactly the same. Trust me when I say that if perfectionism you find it debilitating, or you know that it is holding you back in your business, but you don't know how to push past it, you have got this, because I have done it and you can do it too. You can get past this. You can learn to live with perfectionism. You can learn to reduce the likelihood of it raising its ugly head. And I'm going to show you how to do just that. In a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to share those strategies with you. In the meantime, I want you to give yourself a hug, to give yourself some grace, to give yourself that hug and tell yourself that what you are doing is amazing. What you are doing is incredible. You are putting yourself out there. You are sharing your gifts with the world. You are helping people. And you doing what you are doing is incredible. You have created something amazing because you feel called to help somebody, because you feel called to share your gifts with the world and know that you can help others. And that is incredible. So give yourself that hug, give yourself that grace. Know that you've got some amazing strategies coming your way to help you push past that perfectionist streak so that you can get yourself out there, so that you can enjoy the journey, so that you can feel like you're succeeding, so that you can enjoy and embrace and have and take on amazing, incredible opportunities and collaborations with others, so that you can be totally satisfied and feel that success and enjoy and celebrate all of those amazing, incredible things that you are accomplishing. You have got this. Anytime you feel in the next couple of weeks where this is raising its head, tell yourself that done is better than perfect. Aim for progress over perfection. Remind yourself that there is no such thing as perfect. It is an unattainable goal, and it is perfectly, perfectly fine to put stuff out there that is less than perfect, because that is how you are going to succeed. That is how you are going to grow. That is how you're going to draw your clients in. That is how you are going to get more confident and be able to do the things that you want to do in your business, by just putting things out there. So know that you are not alone. Know that I have got your back. Tell yourself that it's done is better than perfect, and strive for progress over perfection. And I can't wait to chat with you in the episode in a couple of weeks, where I'm going to share with you all of my tips and strategies to help you deal with that perfectionism, so that you can keep going and achieve the amazing things that you deserve to achieve. That's all for this episode. I hope that it has helped give you the encouragement to know that you are not alone, and I can't wait to chat with you very, very soon. Take care and bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me for another installment of the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to leave me a rating and a review so that other mompreneurs can find this podcast too. Here's to unapologetically becoming the mum, wife, biz owner, and woman you know you are meant and deserve to be. I can't wait to chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now.